that much what am I trying to say? Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for tuning in to what's going to be an Ulta haul and kind of a what's new at the drugstore at the same time. They've pretty much had a 20% discount running through the month of December. At least that's what it seems like. Every time I get an email, it's like 20% off, hair tools, makeup, prestige, everything. So finally, I had to cave in. Fortunately, I only checked out the drugstore products, even though it's Ulta, but I shopped the more affordable side of things, including some Ulta brand products, and I mostly had my eye on the new stuff that I've seen a lot of brands launching, so that's why it's kind of a 2-for-1 Ulta haul slash what's new at the drugstore. In case you don't know, the way I like to do my hauls is I've actually tried all of these products for a good amount of time. I've had them for 2 weeks, I want to say, so I can give you a little bit more of a mini review in here too. So in this video, you're going to see the haul, the swatches, the tutorial, and then also the mini review at the same time. We got a lot to get into, so let's go ahead and dive in. Alrighty, so first let's talk foundation. I actually already mentioned a foundation that I got in this little haul earlier in my 5 things that I'm using currently, and that is the Maybelline 24-Hour foundation. This guy, mine is in the shade Buff Beige. It's a tad pink on me, but that just tends to be the way that I find Maybelline drugstore, but Maybelline foundation specifically. I can just never really find one that matches my true neutral skin tone. But I love the coverage of this guy. If you want to know more about it and see the demo and everything, I'll link to that. Click the I if you want to see the 5 products I'm currently using. So I'll spare you the full review here, but just know it is a foundation that I'm really, really liking. The other foundation that I got is from the Ulta brand. It is the HD Soft Focus Liquid Foundation. It says it's a natural finish, paraben-free, oil-free, 1 fluid ounce, and the shade that I got is medium warm. I'm wearing it today, and I have to say it's a pretty dead-on match for my skin tone. Now, unlike the Maybelline foundation, I would say that this is a medium-ish full coverage at max. Like, don't expect full coverage. It will not cover your freckles or discoloration or anything like that, quite like the Maybelline will. This is a true medium coverage foundation where you get and it evens out your skin tone somewhat, but you definitely need concealer if you want to completely cover any under-eye discoloration, freckles, things like that. This also is relatively thin consistency, again, just because I kind of got the two at the same time, comparing it against the Maybelline, which is a little bit thicker and creamier. The Ulta is definitely thinner, and it leaves a little bit more of a dewy finish across my skin. I have combo skin, and so in the winter, I occasionally look for excess, dew and shininess in a controlled sort of way. I tend to rely more on highlighter for that purpose, and I stick to more of a satin matte finish for my foundations, but I enjoy a good dewiness to my foundation as well. This is a good foundation to look for if you are into medium coverage with a somewhat dewy finish. I definitely find I have to set it if I want it to last all day without kind of fading or getting too excessively shiny across my face. That said, if a medium coverage dewy finish foundation sounds good to you, it's what I would look into because Ulta is kind of notorious, well, both Ulta brand and Sephora brand are notorious for having these hidden gems at very affordable prices compared to their high-end or sometimes even drugstore counterparts. Up next are some highlighters, and I somehow ended up getting 2 purple highlighters without knowing it. Well, I very clearly knew that this Maybelline holographic prismatic highlighter was purple. That was very clear online. This is in the shade 100, and like I said, I think it was an online exclusive, so I had to get it from there, but it was very clearly purple, whereas the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Shimmerista, not so much. You couldn't really tell. It said loose highlighter, but it was hard to tell what color it was, so this is 505 Moonlight. And yeah, but pretty much ended up with 2 purple highlighters. There are some serious differences between the two though. Like, they are by no means dupes of each other. I mean, first of all, this one is a loose powder, so you get a little bit more flexibility with how you can use it, whether it's across the body, how easily you can layer it up across the face or the body or whatever it is you want to use your highlighter. Whereas this Maybelline, it also has a slightly bluer leaning purple tint and is much, much more finely milled. This is a true shimmer or iridescent or pearlescent kind of highlight, whereas the Maybelline is a strong light lilac shade and has shimmer and downright glitters in it. Like, it is a much more overt and in-your-face highlighter, whereas the L'Oreal can certainly be layered. You can go light on it for a sheer wash, you can really layer it up for a strong shift. And today you'll see in the demo that I am only wearing the L'Oreal across the tops of my cheekbones. And before you look at these purple highlighters and think, why in the world are we coming up with such weird highlight colors? I really recommend you go watch my How I Highlight My Face video because I talk about this technique of highlight blending essentially, where you take a more natural looking highlight, you put that, you know, as you traditionally would across the tops of the cheekbones, but then you take a shade like purple or green or something like that, and you place that just in the outer corner of the eye to add a little bit of interest and depth to your face makeup. And I promise you it looks less crazy than it sounds. Just go watch that video if you're interested. But those are definitely some uses that I see for these two. Like I said, it just, for me, it really comes down to the versatility of a loose pigment versus a pressed powder and just the amount of glitter that you might find in the Maybelline versus the L'Oreal. Both are really, really nice. It really just depends, I think, on the look you're going for. Now let's talk about a brow product. Again, this is one of two that I got. I don't know why I felt the need to duplicate so much in this haul, but I did. That's kind of the logic or lack of logic in my shopping. So I got this one. It's from Ulta Beauty, the Ulta Beauty brand again. The other one I got, I actually have a separate review on because it was such an interesting product. It's from Almay and it is a gel peel-off gel brow stain. So if you're interested in that, I will, you know, again, I'll link to it. Click the eye up here if you want to go watch it. Spoiler alert, it's not my favorite. I'm not going to be talking a lot about it at all, in fact, in this video, just because it was a really tricky product and not one that I am very into. So let's turn our focus to this Ulta product. This is their brow tint in soft brown, and I was intrigued by this just because it has this teeny tiny little brush head. I personally really like that. It's becoming more and more commonplace in more affordable products. I think the first product I ever remember having this teeny tiny little brush was the Benefit Gimme Brow, and that was one of the main reasons I was so drawn to that product, because it was so easy to get a nice precise brow application. The tinted gel was pigmented enough to where you actually got some nice coverage. It not only added the appearance of fullness, but also tinted your brow hairs as well, and then held them into place. I mean, depending on the formula, a lot of them can hold your brows into place as well. So I wanted to check this out. The shade that I have is soft brown, and I think it's a little light for, typically I like to go a shade and a half to 2 shades darker with my brows. This is a little bit lighter than my natural brow color, but I don't think it's a huge miss. I really like the applicator and the amount of product you can get with one swipe off the applicator. In fact, sometimes it's too much. If you have sparse or thin brows, it can almost be too much product that you get just taking this out of the tube and applying it to your brows. So maybe wipe the excess off before you go in with that, because even on my brows that are somewhat naturally thicker and a little bit more bushy, we'll say, you know, even I find it's a little too much. So just a word of warning there. But beyond that, I like the applicator size. I just find it so much easier to get a precise, good looking brow application in like no time at all. And like I said, it kind of kills 3 birds with 1 stone, because you have your tint, you have your volume adder, your fullness, you get what I'm saying, and then you have your brow gel to keep your actual brow hairs in place. So, and for not a lot of money. So overall, I like it. Now let's talk palettes. I picked up 2, but again, I talked about the Maybelline Total Temptation Shadow and Highlight Palette in that 5 things or 5 products I'm using right now video, so I won't talk too much about it here either, but bottom line is I like it. It was actually a product that surprised me because for some reason I just rarely have high expectations for drugstore powder palettes in general, and so go check out that video if you want to see demos of these in use and just hear my overall thoughts about it in general. But in a nutshell, I was pleasantly surprised by how this palette performed. In this video though, I want to talk about the Maybelline The City Kits Urban Light Eye and Cheek Palette. And this, I mean, I think it was the hollow that drew me in, because you open it up and it's a bunch of pastels. I thought they were going to be iridescent, and they are. A lot of them are iridescent shades. You get 8 eyeshadows. They have them grouped into 2 eye looks here, one more of a purple look, one more of a greeny with a smoky look, and then 2 cheek colors. One is a blush that I'm wearing today, you'll see in the demo, and the other is a golden yellow highlight. So I saw this and I thought it would be closer to something like the Kat Von D Alchemy palette, where it's like a bunch of cool iridescent shadows that shift when you apply them over different eyeshadows, and in some instances it is. In both of the eye looks here, you have like a pink that shifts in that way, where it looks kind of like there's nothing on your lid at some angles, and then this strong pink shift in others, and then another kind of bluer version of that here. But besides that, for the most part, it's kind of just a bunch of shadows that aren't very pigmented. I would say it's not my favorite. The cheek color I was kind of impressed with. That is very pigmented, however it is shimmery, so to the extent that you're looking for a matte cheek color that you want to, so you want, you know, matte on the actual apples of your cheeks and then kind of go in with the highlight on the tops of your cheekbones, that might not be a hit for you. And then there were just some color duplications, like there's so much pink in this palette between the blush shade, the 2 pink eyeshadow shades you get, and the yellow highlight shade and the yellow eyeshadow shade you get. It's just kind of like lots of very similar colors of pastels going on here, and none of which perform like out of this world good. So I would say a pass on this for me, but like I said, again, go check out the video where I talk more about this guy because it was a good one. All right, 2 final products to talk about in this video. The first of which is a Maybelline eyeliner. This is the Lasting Drama Light Liner in the shade Moonlight Purple. I feel a little fixated on purple right now. It's totally unintentional. I kinda wish I would have chosen a more contrasting background now, but next video. We'll get it on the next video. So yeah, this is an eyeliner. It's an automatic liner pencil, and it is this frosty, it looks like it might be a lilac shade, kind of to coordinate with that highlighter I just talked about, but this is a much more subtle looking purple. It's more like a silvery purple because it's so iridescent and shimmery in here. So this I'm wearing today in my waterline, but I think you'll be able to see, one, it is not all that pigmented unless you are applying it underneath the waterline or on your actual skin. For some reason, and maybe it's just my finicky waterline, it just doesn't show up there for me, and so as a result it's not a great brightening eyeliner like I would have hoped it to be for everything it promises to be, being like a light liner and, you know, having that illuminating, highlighting kind of effect to it. I think a lot of us would look to this as like something to open up the appearance of your eyes by applying it to your waterline, and it just doesn't stick there for me. But it does look kind of cool if you actually apply it to your skin under your, or wherever it is you apply it. And last, we have a lip, and I gotta be honest, this is one that I regretted even before I tried it. It's like I had temporary memory loss when I went to add this to my cart and purchase it. It is the Maybelline Metallic Lip Kit, Python Metallic Lip Kit, and I got the shade, or the Duo Wild, which I am wearing right now, and you'll see me apply right here. And this is becoming somewhat of a popular product to see. I think I first tried a powder trio that was supposed to be exclusively applied to your lips from Sephora. I have a video of that. If I can find it, I'll link it if you're interested in seeing it. But this is not a new trend we're seeing. I think it's just now hitting drugstores, where the idea is that you apply this traditional cream product to your lips as a lip color, and then you go in with a contrasting powder product to highlight the inner, or just use on your lips in general. It can give, depending on the shade you use, the finishes they have, it can give this really interesting like matte metallic look, or add a real pop of highlight to the center of your lips, but just with a different texture because it's that powder product. What I'm trying to say is I've gotten sucked into this many, many times, and in reality, I keep coming back to the same conclusion, which is that you can literally do this with any lip product you have already in your collection and any eyeshadow you already have in your collection. You look at this and it is just a cream lip product and a golden eyeshadow. Granted, they're beautiful products. Like, I was really impressed with how pigmented this was. They say to put it on with your finger, and generally when that's the case, I find it's not going to be that much what am I trying to say? It's not gonna be all that pigmented, and this actually was. However, you go into this gold eyeshadow, and the second your finger touches it, it's a beautiful shadow, but it's an eyeshadow that I probably have a million of already in my collection. But basically what I think I'm trying to say is that I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't, use it as inspiration, because this is, again, I think I keep getting sucked in because it's a cool concept, but it's something that I think a lot of us, if not all of us, could easily replicate with what we got going on in our collections right now. So yeah, that's that. And that's actually everything that I have to talk about today in this Ulta haul / what's new at the drugstore. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was useful in case you guys were considering any of these products to try out for yourselves. And I would also love to hear, there's a ton of new stuff coming to the drugstore, so to the extent that I didn't talk about it, trust me, I know it's out there, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. If you've tried it, if there's something you love, if there's something that we should all avoid, it's also helpful as well. Let us know down in the comments below. Besides that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.